Oh my god.
Oh my god. Resident Evil Requiem might actually be the best and most cinematic story this franchise has ever told, and it might even be my new favorite Resident Evil game. Now I know that's a bold claim for a series that's been around since 1996 and has 30 something games at this point, but I think Requiem pulls it off, and I'm going to explain why today. So for those that don't know, this is essentially two games in one half the survival horror half.
Oh my god. 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 Oh my god.
Follows Grace Ashcroft, daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak for you throwback Resident Evil fans. And then there's the full, over-the-top Michael Bay action movie half.
Yeah.
Starring none other than Leon Kennedy, because who else? So this is my review. It's my live reactions from my playthrough mixed in with my actual thoughts on the game and some breakdown of some plot and story elements that you may not have thought about. With that said, obviously, spoiler warning from here on out, you have been warned. So the game opens up with Grace at her normal desk job for the FBI, researching, writing reports, doing all of that nonsense. She's just a regular person living a regular life, which for me in this franchise I thought was really refreshing. Her boss invites her into his office and requests that she goes to Wrenwood Hotel, the place where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, was brutally murdered right in front of her, so she can, quote, face her past.
Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
That's such an insane thing to ask someone. I'm not gonna lie. That is just unhinged to ask. Just get over it, bro. Just go check it out.
That's all for now.
Ain't no big deal. What the hell is even that? my immediate thought was that she was being set up by this guy, but that doesn't actually seem to be the case, which honestly to me just makes it worse in retrospect. He's truly just one of the bosses of all time. But the reason I include this and what this moment does is it sets up everything that makes the game work. Grace is anxious, awkward, she's not prepared, she's probably fixing to throw up at the thought, and that fear, that genuine fear, we've not really experienced from a Resident Evil character in a very long time, and that's what drives the horror side of this game. It's what makes it click so much better, and it results in what I think is probably the best survival horror this franchise has ever done. Grace, unbelievably, agrees to go because sometimes anxiety just makes you do dumb shit under the pressure of a request. I know this firsthand, it happens. And this is where the game really starts. You're walking through Wrenwood Hotel, it's slow, creeping horror atmosphere, and we very quickly get to a flashback of the night Grace and her mom stayed there, and then... Oh, Jesus. Alyssa is murdered right in front of teenage Grace. It's gruesome, it's sudden, it sets the tone for the rest of the game. And just a side note, Grace's voice actress is absolutely incredible here. Grace's voice actor is incredible. I don't know if they actually, assaulted her in the recording booth. This, like she was in genuine terror. She's incredible. And what makes this section stand out from other Resident Evil games is how totally unprepared and frantic Grace is. When the first zombie shows up, her jacket gets caught on this little luggage cart and she's just frantically yanking at it, panicking and screaming. What is happening? What is... Bro! She's not Leon. She's not Chris Redfield. She's not Jill. She's not even Claire Redfield. She's not a badass. She is just a normal person who would very much like to not die today. And that desperation, for me, really made the horror connect a lot better. But instead of, leaving, She keeps pushing deeper into the hotel after hearing some music upstairs and runs straight into Victor Gideon, who is the main antagonist of this game, a new character, a former researcher for Umbrella. He promptly chokes her out and kidnaps her. Incredible stay at the Wrenwood Hotel. 5 stars, I would recommend it. This whole section kind of just serves as like a tutorial for Grace's gameplay. It teaches you her slower play style while keeping you genuinely uncomfortable, which is exactly what survival horror should do. And then we get a short little tutorial for Leon's action side too. His is even shorter. You can do that in like 45 seconds flat if you're really speedrunning it. Oh my god, bro. Did I just get hit by a car? Is that what just happened? I've equipped the Requiem. Oh my god. And then we reach what I'm pretty confident is the single best horror location the franchise has ever produced. The director of Requiem is Koshi Nakanishi, the same guy who made Resident Evil 7, and you can feel it the second Grace wakes up in the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center. His whole approach for her was that she is the completely wrong person for this situation, and the game does not let you forget it. All of Grace's FBI, analyst, intelligence, and traits, none of that means anything here. Couple that with the tiny inventory. That's what we need for the horse store downstairs. And my inventory's full. Scarce ammo, constant pursuer enemies, and bullet sponge enemies. It's all of the classic survival horror ingredients in Resident Evil, except they've cranked it up to 11 with Grace's personality. And speaking of pursuers, this is where we meet the girl. We meet her almost immediately upon arriving at the care center. Okay. She is, without any exaggeration, possibly the most scared I have ever been playing a Resident Evil game. She crawls through the ceilings, she tracks you, she chases you through the building, all the classic pursuer things. I had to take a legitimate break during her first encounter. I'm not immune to horror like a lot of players are. I get scared, and if you watched me live on Twitch, you already know I was stressed out. I went from absolutely loving this game to I no longer want to play it. Dog, alright, let's game plan. Let's game plan. One of the things that makes Grace's gameplay so effective, and I really can't stress this enough, is her animations and her voice acting are doing just as much storytelling as the actual plot is. Angela Santalbano, or Albano, I'm not sure, my apologies if I messed that up. She's incredible in every single moment of this game, and the animations, the way that Grace's hands shake when she's aiming her gun. Her hands are shaking. Look at this. Her hands and the gun are shaking because she's a nervous fucking wreck. When she first shoots the Requiem, the revolver that Leon gives her. What is that, bro? Final Fantasy ass weapon. Well, that's what happens to you. Was that my first time shooting at Grace? My bad. It nearly takes her off her feet the first time she fires it. And this leads me to say that Grace is the most grounded character in the series' history. The care center itself is one of my favorite locations in this entire franchise after a couple of months of sitting with it. It's genuinely beautiful with some of the best graphics, lighting, and environmental detail I've seen in a game, period, not just Resident Evil. And then it also goes back to that classic Resident Evil style. Think the mansion, the RPD, the Baker house. It's a maze of locked rooms and doors that are slowly opening up piece by piece as you puzzle your way through the game like you always have to. But before we get to really get into the full scope of the care center, let's cut to Leon for some fun chainsaw time. The hell'd he have a chainsaw for? Well, alright, it was good knowing you, lady.
I think I want a second opinion.
Ow, ow. Oh my god, now this woman's got it. The tonal whiplash here is completely intentional. Same building, same type of enemies, same hallways. Well, I say same type of enemies. Leon's not having to deal with the girl just yet, but Leon is just mowing through everything left and right. What would normally send Grace into a full panic attack, Leon handles in about 4 seconds with a bullet and a roundhouse kick. Leon's older now, and he's suffering from Raccoon City Syndrome, which is a mutating strain of the T-virus that's slowly killing all the survivors of the Raccoon City outbreak. The contrast between these two is, to me, the whole point of the game, but I'll get to that later. Back to Grace. Early in this section, she finds Emily, a child locked in one of the facility's cells who's been blinded by experiments that Gideon was running on her. She becomes a huge part of Grace's arc for the rest of the game, but for now, she's just locked in the cell, so just tuck that knowledge away for a little bit. The goal is finding 3 quartz pieces to unlock the exit, and this section's probably 40% of the total game, but for me, it never wears out its welcome. The zombies all retain a piece of who they used to be. There's a huge chef zombie.
Ooh.
There's singing zombies.
Is one of them singing? She is up there singing.
And there absolutely is one driving a fucking bulldozer in the parking garage.
What do I do? What do I do? What the fuck is that? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
You know, it's hard for the game to drag when it's throwing that much variety at you. Oh yeah, and there's another pursuer I almost forgot to mention, Chunk. This enormous blob of a creature. He's not really the biggest threat in the world once you see how to handle him, but my first encounter,
You look like Big Mama got a hold of you. Oh my god.
we do eventually get Emily out of her cell, and she helps us get the final quartz piece that we need to escape. But at this point, the girl, whose name we learn is Marie, Emily's former cellmate who mutated and escaped, smashes through a wall and drags Emily down to the care center's basement. Again, I'm not trying to do a play-by-play, but this is where Grace's arc really starts to move. She looks at the hole in the floor, the terrified wreck that she is, and while she does need the quartz piece that Emily has, she's doing this for a different reason. She looks in the dark hole, she lets out a big breath, and she goes down there anyway. I don't really have much to say about this section, so I'll keep it short. We grab Emily, and we got the hell out of there, running from the girl once more. We get out to the courtyard, we meet a new guy, we take an escape helicopter, and because it's Resident Evil, that lasted for all of 15 seconds. We crash, kills the pilot, it badly injures Emily, which, hold on to that. And this is where her arc really hits its peak. Grace and Emily run into Marie one last time in the water treatment plant. Grace finds somewhere safe for Emily, sets her down, and closes the door. And for the first time in the entire game, there's a very clearly different look on her face. It's coming from a place of wanting to protect Emily more than survive. This takes us to a pretty cool boss fight where we have to open the sun hatch in the treatment facility to burn Marie with the light.
What do I just run? Shoot it and run? Bro.
I thought I was dead, I'm not gonna lie.
Go, 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 go. We only have one of these bullets left. You better make it count.
Come on, open.
She don't like Molotovs either. That one bullet was all I needed. I just needed one shot.
I think the whole thing pretty awesome. It's nice getting to watch the girl finally melt into a puddle after she made me piss my pants more than once in the game. What follows is one of the most depressing sequences in the game. Emily isn't breathing. Grace tries to give her CPR. Unfortunately though, it doesn't work and Emily dies. Then, within seconds, as people do in Resident Evil, she starts to mutate. Grace begs and pleads for Emily to hear her. Obviously, It's not how this works. Never works that way in Resident Evil or in any fiction for that matter. I don't know why characters do that. Leon arrives and does what Leon knows to do. He shoots Emily until she stops moving. To say this crushed Grace would probably be an understatement. She throws the Requiem at Leon's feet and walks away. And at the facility exit, she runs into Gideon and a new face, Zeno, who's very clearly an Albert Wesker clone in every conceivable way. And in her grief, they pretty easily convince her to come with them. I'm gonna be so mad at you. I'm gonna be so mad at you.
For you, Grace.
Is that fucking Albert Wesker? I mean, this is new, so I don't know.
You're the reason for its destruction, but you're also the key to building a brave new world. You're the final piece. Let us show you your true
Is that Wesker,
purpose.
dog? I'm not sure. And I want to slow down here because this is kind of the focus on the story for me. This is what I think takes this story to a different narrative level from any other Resident Evil game. Leon has spent nearly 30 years trying to save people, always seeming to come up just short. Compounds across every entry we see him in. RE2, RE4, RE6, there's always someone that dies that he feels like he could have saved. He's learned to carry it, he still cracks his one-liners, he still shows up to be the badass, he still handles that fucking chainsaw like a maniac. But I think the game is trying to make it pretty clear that the weight is still there and it's starting to literally kill him. Raccoon City Syndrome, the mutating T-virus that I discussed earlier that's killing all of the Raccoon City survivors, it's really a not so subtle metaphor for Survivor's Guild. The things that he survived is also exactly what is killing him, literally and metaphorically. And Grace is almost like this mirror image, but from the other end of the spectrum. She doesn't have 30 years of that weight on her. She had the one wound. Her mother's murder 8 years ago. She very clearly had become antisocial and shut herself in. It showed with her social awkwardness and an inability to hold eye contact when speaking with someone. And then at the start of the game, she's immediately thrust into the complete opposite of the secluded situation that she has kept herself in, forces her to care about someone new. She finally confronts that fear and that anxiety that she has. She does everything she can, and then she loses her anyway. It's not because she wasn't brave enough. She was the bravest she's ever been, and she blames herself the same way that she blamed herself for her mother's murder back then, her panic attack slowing them down from escaping the hotel, and this just reopens the wound, but wider. So you have two characters carrying this survivor's guilt from completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Leon, who's figured out how to carry it for decades but is slowly being eaten alive by it, and Grace, who has not learned to carry it, just had another wound tore open and has already been broken by it. Leon takes over now and turns the game into a full action movie, and honestly it's just a blast. He's returning to Raccoon City, and seeing it as a real open environment is insane after all of these years. The damage on the outskirts is pretty bad, but it gets worse the deeper you go. Seeing the half-collapsed buildings, the remnants of BSAA operations scattered about, the environmental storytelling, it's all really cool. But I'll be honest, the section does drag slightly compared to the care center. The palette is a lot darker. The tone is it's just not as visually as alive as the care center. I know it's intentional, but I still felt that way. That said, Leon's combat is phenomenal, of course. It had amazing groundwork to go off of with the RE4 remake. There's a dozen weapons, the massive RE4 style inventory. A huge section of Raccoon City is just free to roam. I got lost a few times. Maybe it's time to admit that I might be a yellow paint gamer. There's a gas station fight against a huge zombie horde with explosions and fire.
Oh no. Use a med injector, Leon. Hurry, 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 hurry. Oh my god. Okay, there was not 3 of them. In fact, a lot more than that. I wish I wasn't out of handgun ammo. Oh my god, how do I miss that, bro? Are you kidding? Yeah. He don't know what to do.
And then there is the single most amazingly stupid thing Capcom has ever put into any one of these games.
Leon, I don't know that this is the way, brother. This looks like a terrible idea. Now, alright. Leon, I'm not sure that this is even possible, my brother. Oh my god. Leon is a psychopath. He's landing on windows. It's a literal psychopath.
This fucking guy. Only Leon Kennedy. Literally only him. I don't have any commentary further to add to that. The game doesn't even ease you into that insanity. It just wants you to roll with it. You should. I did. I had a blast. But the most important part of this section is what comes next after the stupid motorcycle chase. I say stupid totally as a compliment in that scenario, by the way. And then we're back at Raccoon City Police Department. First things first, normally I'm not a fan of nostalgia bait for the sake of nostalgia bait, and this does qualify as fan service without a doubt, especially with the amount of callbacks that are crammed throughout this game, but it earns it here. It serves the story, and I think that's all it needs to earn its place. Leon returning to the RPD 28 years later, back to the building where that survivor's guilt thread started, where he first got exposed to what's now killing him, in terms of the virus. This nostalgia bait matters. The music, the wrecked building, it's amazing to look at in the updated RE engine. The return of Mr. X as a BOW. I know it's not the same Mr. X, but it is Mr. X. And even just the small detail of Leon pausing before he opens that first door, and as soon as he opens it, he takes a deep breath, he opens it, and immediately gets hit with this flood of flashbacks of everyone he couldn't save. You know, it's symbolic. It's him going back to where it started, where the people he originally couldn't save were, with one more chance to do what he couldn't do back then. And then we finally get to a boss fight where Leon can fucking parry Mr. X's attacks.
Oh fuck, I gotta learn to parry at this point in the game.
With the hatchet, bro. I mean, we're gonna have to nerf Leon at some point. He gets stronger every game, and I mean, you know, soon there's no zombies or BOWs or anything for that matter is going to want to fight him. They're going to see him and run the other way. But yeah, final note on that section, nostalgia works when it has a reason to be there. It definitely had a reason to be here for this. So now we're in the final stretch of the game. The Ark Facility is buried beneath the ruins of Raccoon City, like it is, or like a facility is in every Resident Evil game for whatever reason. We get to learn the truth about Grace, what Elpis actually is. It all does feel like a satisfying enough payoff while leaving enough threads to continue it on into a different game. The whole game up to this point, with Zeno and Gideon especially, has been built on the idea that Grace is the key to Elpis.
To find Elpis.
What is Elpis?
The power.
Grace, it's been so long since we saw you. I need you to understand that this guy's
Created by
bad.
Spencer. Designed to control human consciousness.
Fake Wesker.
Mind control?
Mysterious project from Spencer that apparently every villain and group in the entire world is after. And what is revealed inside the Ark Facility is that this is completely wrong. Grace isn't a key. She isn't a password. She isn't from any experiment. She's literally just Grace. She's an orphan that Oswell E. Spencer, yeah, that Oswell E. Spencer, the long-reigning antagonist, evil doer of Resident Evil, adopted. And Grace finds this out from the mini disc that her mother had hid in the hotel 8 years earlier that she found at the start of the game. And on this mini disc, there's an interview file with Alyssa, Grace's mom, and Spencer. And Spencer tells Alyssa that Elpis and adopting Grace was his attempt at atonement. Just a last-ditch effort to do one good thing before he died.
What's her name?
Grace.
Grace. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
I've said my piece. I only hope it serves as a requiem for those who have passed.
There's a little bit of a debate on this I've seen with some people. Is this actual atonement, or is this just Spencer telling a journalist what he thought she wanted to hear? I lean toward the second option. I'd have a hard time believing Spencer ever wanted to do anything right. I think Elpis is probably just Spencer's way of giving a last fuck you to the other groups and people that really worked overtime to bring Umbrella down, like the Connections and Tricell and Wesker. And my reasoning for this is if he truly wanted to make amends with this antiviral, I don't think he would have hidden it somewhere where literally no one could reach it after 28 years. That is way more revenge from beyond the grave instead of I'm trying to do the right thing. But unfortunately, that's probably a question that the series never answers, so all we can do is just move on. At this time, Leon's literally seconds away from dying, minutes away from dying. Grace thinks that maybe she knows the password. She goes and finds Leon.
Leon! Leon! Oh, fuck, bro. Don't be the end for Leon.
Leon!
They go into the main room. Zeno steps aside to let Grace put the password in, and the password is simply hope. Zeno immediately kind of just shoves her out of the way. It kind of looks like a cartoon the way that he just pushes her aside. He grabs a vial, he injects himself, completely convinced that he's fixing to just become the ultimate fucking weapon. Instead, his powers are gone. It's a cure for T-virus based mutations and infections. Zeno is obviously pissed. He immediately goes after Grace. Leon stops him. Gideon walks in. They have a pretty tense back and forth between him and Zeno. There's a brief mention of the Connections, who we still have very little information on. The implication and confirmation that Zeno is essentially just a Wesker clone. And then in Resident Evil fashion, Gideon just sprouts a tentacle arm and beheads Zeno on the spot. It's Resident Evil. I don't know what more you want me to say. So then that's it. We're at the final boss, Victor Gideon. Honestly, it's a solid fight. It's intense. It's fun. What you would normally expect from a final boss in Resident Evil.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Don't run up on me, dog.
And how many more will have to die for that?
Oh, fuck. Damn, okay. Damn, bro, chill. I need you to get out of the way.
In the grand scheme of things, a few lives.
Not to me. I swore that I'd always protect those lives.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Alright. Gotta heal Leon. Hurry, 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 hurry. Dog, get up off of me. The fuck? Oh, come on. They always have a fucking RPG laying around. That's all of our shotgun ammo. Wonderful.
This time, you ain't getting back up.
Yeah! Let's go, Leon. Oh, and the little twirl and throw it back in the holster. My God. That dude's such a fucking badass.
But it's pretty clearly just kind of a callback to the final Nemesis boss fight from RE3. I'm fine with that. It's not a bad fight. it just wasn't as refreshing as the rest of the game because I had already seen it before. It kind of just it just killed the momentum for me just a tiny bit. It wasn't anything drastic, just a tiny amount. It made me think, man, this whole game was so refreshing to me, even with all the nostalgia bait and callbacks. After the boss fight, the Ark Facility begins to collapse. Grace and Leon, looks like there's no way out. They're oddly okay with it and at peace. They're just sitting in the dark. And then we get the reveal with the Hound Wolf Squad coming in, Chris Redfield's BSAA Rogue Task Force. They have a message from Redfield. They get him out of there. Excellent. I'm assuming that's setting up the DLC or Resident Evil 10 or 11 or 12. Who knows with Capcom? The story does go all over the place at all times. Up on the surface, we've got Grace and Leon having a conversation. They're talking about everything. Grace is still clearly very upset about Emily losing her. Leon steps to her, gives her this goofy look of assurance, and he says, Grace, I didn't hit any of her vitals. It's like, all right, bro. That's a little bit of a cop-out, Capcom. I understand why you did it. We wanted the happy ending, especially given what Grace has just went through for the past 12 hours. I just wish they would have wrote that a little differently. The only other complaint I have there, I do wish we would have got even just a name drop for someone like Jill or Claire. I mean, I'm sure Chris and the Hound Wolf Squad that's part of why they are there. They're getting it taken care of. But I would have liked some confirmation that we are going to get some doses to these other legacy characters and Raccoon City survivors. That way we know that they didn't just fuck off and die. And then we get a post-credit scene, which actually completes Grace's arc for us. She's in her FBI office. She's on the phone with Leon. There's no stutter, no hesitation. She's carrying herself in a completely different manner than the girl we met just earlier in the game. Emily's been found alive, dug out of the gunk and goo of the fucking mutation. She's with Grace. I'm assuming Grace has adopted her. Her eyesight's been fixed. Grace is teaching her to read. It's a really sweet moment. It's really nice to see Grace fully achieve that growth now. But also, in the final shot, when they're zooming out and there's the picture of Emily and Grace on her desk, Emily is still wearing that fuck-ass hospital gown from the care center. Grace, I am begging you to buy that child some clothes. I'm assuming it's been months at this point with the complete shift in Grace and Emily's eyesight being fixed and being taught to read. All right. Buy her some clothes. That girl went through a lot. She does not need to live in the hospital gown. So I want to reiterate and close on this because I think it's what elevates Resident Evil Requiem from a great game to something that's really exceeding the expectations for a story in a Resident Evil game. Survivor's guilt seems to be the theme for the entire story. It's not really subtle about it. It's directly presented in front of you, and I really enjoy how it comes at it from two different angles with Grace and Leon. And the reason the ending works, the reason that hope is so prevalent, and why it becomes so much about hope is because it doesn't let either of them off of the hook with that survivor's guilt. Leon doesn't just get rid of all of the guilt that he's carrying, and Grace doesn't just shrug off losing Emily and losing her mother, but both of them, by continuing to have hope, even though Grace has faltered for a little while there, by the end she did have it again. They're both given another chance to do the right thing and to save people, and that's what they do. And in the end, they both get their happy ending. Leon gets to return to the destroyed place where he originally wanted to save all of those people and failed, but because he went back there and he faced those demons, we got to see those in the flashbacks. This time he actually got to save someone, not try to save someone. He did. He saved someone. He got the cure. It doesn't just help him, it helps Grace, Emily, all the legacy characters from the Resident Evil franchise, and all the civilians and citizens of Raccoon City who did manage to survive. So really, in a way, the thing that was killing Leon, both metaphorically and physically, is the same exact thing that gave him some meaning in the end, because without it, very possible that he wasn't there to save Grace, wasn't there to save Emily, and wasn't there to retrieve Elpis. That is a really great example of why continuing to hope and continuing to push forward, and this applies to all mental health illnesses or issues, you should always hold on to that little bit of hope to get that chance to correct things, to do the right thing, to do the thing that will help you find your peace. And Grace, even though she did break away from having hope for a while, she does get it back at the end, does do the right thing. In turn, she's responsible for saving a lot of people as well, including Emily, who she fought so hard to protect in the first place that she thought she had lost. And in that final phone call, like I said, completely different version of Grace. Grace still, but a Grace who survived, is stronger, is confident, is carrying herself completely differently. And I think that's really the main theme. Mental health, and specifically in this case survivor's guilt, is not something that you just beat. You don't just wake up and it's gone one day. What you do, what Leon and Grace do, is you find a reason to keep going, a reason that makes what you're carrying worth it. They both managed to find that, even with the obstacles that they did have to go through. And it does it without ever really getting too preachy about it. You really wouldn't know if you were just taking everything at face value. Although it's not very subtle with the survivor's guilt thing, you do still have to try to think about it to be able to see that. Without being preachy, it does show what hope and what pushing forward should look like in terms of mental health. It's not the absence of pain or the absence of these illnesses. It is just the decision to keep going anyway, and whatever it is that you need to want to continue that way. Elpis is Greek for hope. Spencer named it that. The password to unlock Elpis was hope. The last shot of the game is a happy picture of Grace and Emily. There was no way, with the way that everything went from when we got to the Ark Facility on, that this game wasn't going to end with the word hope. And that's what Capcom really seemed to want to get across here. Alright, my final verdict. Look, I'm a little biased. Resident Evil has become my favorite franchise over the last few years. Ever since I played Resident Evil 7, I've been rattling off playing these games every chance I get. I've already replayed some of them multiple times. I'm a fiend. My friends wish I would shut the fuck up about it. I'm not going to. I love it. It's my favorite now. I even sat for a while, waited before making this video. I mean, it's been close to 3 months since the game released, but I wanted to let the recency bias settle, but I keep coming back to the same place. Resident Evil Requiem is a 10 out of 10. It's my new favorite Resident Evil game. Capcom managed to make a game that is survival horror and over-the-top action, and we did have that dispute and that divide in the community where there were a lot of people's favorites is RE4 and a lot of people's favorites are RE7 or RE2. Being able to combine the best aspects of all of their peak games with two different protagonists, radically different play styles, real character development for both of them continuing on at the same time, which was the deepest storytelling they'd had in a while, thematically anyway. Somehow, none of these things at any point really work against each other. They all serve the same plot, an emotional through line. It's really hard to pull off, and I think Capcom deserves every bit of credit for it that they have gotten so far. Grace Ashcroft is outstanding. Angela Santalbano, or Albano, again, sorry if I butchered it. She gives what is certainly the best performance in a video game so far this year, and likely going to continue to be the best in this year, likely the best in the series as well. Her contribution to this character cannot be overstated. I hope that if Grace does return, she absolutely is on board with coming back to play her. And then for Leon, he gets the most meaningful development and layers added to him that he's had in years. I know they kind of started to touch on it in RE4, but it just didn't feel as deep or as thematically sound as this did. And it genuinely felt like a real peak for his arc, like almost, it was Leon's happy ending. I think the horror is the best in the series. The care center is an all-time location. I'm sorry, it is. Leon's action gameplay is RE4 kind of fun without even feeling like a reskin because of the variety. This is all stuff that I've talked about. And sure, the story does get a little convoluted in places, and The whiplash between Grace and Leon, I can see how that might throw some people off. But for me, this is the best game in the franchise, and it's a game I would recommend to anyone to try, Resident Evil fan or not. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for weekly gaming content and reviews. Next week, our next video will be Forza Horizon 6, a little casual gameplay, a little casual racing fan, plays a racing game. I'm terrible. You'll see me wreck at least 3,000 times. And if this video gets 50 likes, I'm going to go ahead later in June and drop a Resident Evil 1 HD remake video. I've not done a video on that. I've played about half the game. I've not finished it. So if you guys want to see that, be sure to leave a like. Let me know down below what you thought of Resident Evil Requiem, and I will catch you guys in the next one.